Hello, beauties. Happy full moon total lunar eclipse. I'm Divinely Jennifer. I wanted to come in and share some musings and inspirations around this incredible and incredibly powerful full moon this evening. And you're getting a picture of me, and I'll shortly share a picture of the chart for the full moon. This full moon is squaring my Saturn in my fourth house. So I've been in total cleaning mode. Hair is in a pony, no makeup on, etc., etc. And I just decided it was better to get this off to you in audio format versus not at all. This is an incredibly juicy full moon. I don't know if you've noticed how sensitive people are. If you are feeling sensitive, you might be feeling sensitive in a wounded sort of way. Scorpio has the incredible ability to make us feel very, very intense emotions one way or the other. So we could be feeling incredibly wounded. There's the increased potential for violence. And at the same time, you might be feeling an increase in an intensity around love, which is pretty darn good, when you're feeling that love and that passion and feel like you're in this space of generosity and wanting to share yourself and all sorts of goodness. And then all it takes is one word or one situation to knock us off and get us back into that intensely angry or intensely wounded space. So you're probably seeing it too. And this won't go away. It's not like we have the full moon at 9:14 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time here on the West Coast today, Sunday, May 15th. We're going to be feeling it for a while because it's an eclipse. We're in the middle of eclipse season. So you might feel this being carried with you for the next year or 18 months. And that's all okay. I think we won't really clear a lot of this energy until November 2023. Okay, my loves, here is a picture of the chart that you're looking at. I'm not on Zoom right now, by the way, so I'm not going to be making any annotations or circles or drawings or anything like that. I could, but I want to get this out to you, like I said. This full moon, as you can see, the moon in Scorpio, 25 degrees, 17 minutes of Scorpio, directly opposite the sun at 25 degrees, 17 minutes of Taurus. The nodes are nearby. The moon is with the south node. And this is all about release. This is all about letting go. And to me, this is really about letting go of stuff to make room for sharing with others. Maybe you are in the process of moving in with someone, or you're going to be renting out space in your house for Airbnb. And it's about clearing out the clutter, clearing out the things you no longer need or want to make room for sharing with others. Now, of course, Mercury is retrograde right now, so you may end up revising what you release, let go of, throw away. You may want to wait until Mercury stations direct on June 3rd. Maybe wait until the 6th or the 7th of June before you actually make that goodwill drop. But you can certainly put it aside in your garage or in a side room or anything like that. And of course, stuff doesn't have to necessarily mean financial stuff. It could mean, this is Scorpio. It could mean old emotional wounds. It could be, relationship scars. It could be paying down some debts or forgiving someone of their debts. Does someone owe you money? Do you feel like someone has a karmic debt against you? Do you feel like do you owe someone money that's just, it's hanging over your head? Do you feel as if you owe someone an apology? That's the energy of releasing and letting go. And sometimes we have that opportunity to offer someone our forgiveness. And of course, the most important person to offer that forgiveness to is ourselves. And sometimes we also need to offer it to other people to get it off our chest, clear that energy, etc. There, some of the other themes this lunar cycle, the themes of death and rebirth, transformation, of course, that's always the case when Scorpio is involved, and certainly the case because we have Pluto in a fairly loose sextile with the moon and the node, the south node, and in a trine with the sun and the north node. So they are aspecting each other. There's something called a cradle that we're seeing here as well. So it's really about power and karma. Do you call in sovereignty for all beings to make their own divine choices based on free will? Or do you prefer control, dominating, mandating, imposing, forcing your will over others? Do you think people should be allowed to force their will over others? And where do you let or allow others to dominate and control you? And how's that working for you? So there's this energy of power and karma, and we can often say, oh yeah, everyone should have to do that, and we should have to do this, and we need to regulate this and regulate that. And I find that always comes back to bite us in the ass. Of course, as a parent, there are times we do have to exert our will over that of our younger children. When they're small, it gets to be a whole lot harder as they grow and eventually spread their wings and leave the nest. But there's this energy of power and karma, and you might need to let die an area of your life, or a relationship of your life where you let others dominate you or control you, or where you might impose or wish to impose control over others, your will over others. I'm seeing this in a situation right now that I'm mostly in observation and support mode, where there's simply an unawareness. It's an unconscious awareness because the love and passion are so strong, right? It's the love and passion. You just gotta have it. It's just gotta go this way. And that can be challenging. Those can be challenging lessons for us to learn. Now, in addition to this cradle between the moon and the south node at one end in sextile to Pluto, sextile to Mars and Neptune, sextile to the north node and the sun, another energy around this full moon is a T-square with Saturn and Vesta. So the sun and the moon are opposing each other, and they're each both squaring Saturn and Vesta. And I see this, as what intentions did you set in December of 2020 when Saturn and Jupiter conjuncted for the first time in 20 years? And for the first time in Aquarius for a very long time. And I really see that these intentions, whatever intentions you set back in December of 2020 with that conjunction, these are highlighted. You're going to be getting some fated choices. Your choices will be illuminated with support from the divine masculine and the divine feminine. So you might, with Saturn in Aquarius, you might experience some type of obstacles or limitations, but it's kind of like you don't want to give the 4-year-old the $3,000 mountain bike when they've just gotten off of training wheels. or dangerous things can happen when you give a brand new 16-year-old a very fast car like a Tesla or a Porsche or a BMW. We see that often in our world where teenagers, particularly teenage boys, make bad decisions around fast cars. And that could be some Saturn challenge or limit or obstacle. But I really feel while Saturn and Vesta are still traveling together for a little while longer, that they're in partnership as the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And that's a really, really beautiful, beautiful energy. You know, it's the master, Saturn who wants us to be the master and be disciplined. And it's the crone, it's the godmother, it's the priestess. And they're in this T-square really illuminating our choices. What choices will you make? Will you make choices that are Aquarianly in the best interest of humanity? Or will you choose something that's more of a dopamine hit? You know, the quickie, pleasurable decision that you might regret later on. So go back to your journals or whatever, wherever you keep your intentions that you set. Maybe you burn them every new moon, who knows? But whatever intentions you remember setting way back in December of 2020, right around the winter solstice. That conjunction was so beautiful in the sky. And so these choices around that are highlighted. You might be thinking, God, it's been, 17 months. Thank goodness I finally have some choices to make here. But remember, the divine always has your back when that comes into play. Now, there are several transits and energies happening in the sky that are absolutely impacting the energy of this full moon. The sun I talked about this T-square with the sun and Saturn and the moon. So the sun has already exactly squared Saturn. Sun in Taurus squaring Saturn in Aquarius. That happened at 11:48 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. So this energy of creating structures around how we want to shine our light and make the world a better place, ultimately. That humanitarian side of us. We're also feeling the Venus conjunct Chiron in Aries. That happened at 5:12 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time at 14 degrees 44 minutes of Aries. And this is really about compassion for your own wounds without projecting them onto others as a victim. And likewise, so it's okay to acknowledge your wounds. It's okay to acknowledge your healing. We go into a danger zone when we end up projecting those wounds onto others. Like other people need to feel our suffering because I'm a victim here. Doesn't quite work out for us very well when we do that. And it just creates a whole lot of codependency. And likewise, how do you react when other people project their wounds onto you? Do you react? Do you take it personally? Or do you hold them with compassion? And so Venus is really infusing Chiron with a lot of love, but in Aries, she's quite feisty. She's been in Aries since Monday, May 2nd. And so we're feeling that solo path, right? This is Elizabeth Gilbert going off to Europe by herself. This is that Reese Witherspoon movie where she's traversing, she's on foot. I can't remember what it's called. Wild something. That's that energy of Venus in Aries. So she doesn't always want to listen. She's very passionate, very feisty, very little filter. And so watch yourself how you're reacting to people. If you're taking things personally when they're projecting their own victim state on you, you can always draw a boundary around that. The other transit that we're feeling that's going to come exact on May 17th in the very late evening Pacific time is Mars conjuncting Neptune in Pisces. And this is really about inspired actions towards your dreams. I wrote a blog about all the Neptune and Jupiter in Pisces transits. I will put a link down below so you can access that if you wish, if you haven't had a chance to read that or you want to go back and double check. So on the shadow side, it's that fraternity party energy where, young men are encouraging each other to drink way too much. And on the positive side, it's really taking an inspired step towards a dream. It's really easy sometimes to get lost in fantasy land. We think about our dreams and we fantasize about them and we feel them, and that's all well and good. We need to feel them. We need to feel our dreams, and we also get to take inspired action towards them. And anytime we take, this feels like a pretty big step. Mars conjunct Neptune. This feels like, even though Mercury is retrograde, it feels like a really juicy big step here. And so what's one step, one inspired step that you can take towards your dreams? And you may have to release or let go of something, as I mentioned, in order for that to happen, because this is a full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio. So there may be some releasing, letting go. Maybe you have to let one dream die or set it aside in order for another to happen. Something to contemplate, feel into. Be mindful also that you're not using substances like ayahuasca, kambo, psilocybin, alcohol, marijuana, to let yourself go into that dreamy zone and then stay there, or to avoid taking a step towards your dreams. It's one thing to be in plant ceremony and sacred plant ceremony with, how shall I say, facilitators who know what they're doing. That's Venus and Aries talking. It's really important that we don't get lost. And so pay attention to that if that's something that you have a tendency to do, to keep asking the divine to show you your dreams, to show you what to do, and then to not take action or to sabotage yourself is a really hard thing for the divine to swallow. The divine so wants to see our dreams come true. So again, this is all about, you're going to be feeling that desire to take inspired actions towards your dreams. Something else that I find very intriguing about this full moon is that Jupiter and Ceres are in a square. That square will come exact on the 18th. So Jupiter has just moved into Aries. He moved into Aries on May 10th, after Mercury stationed, about 12 hours after Mercury stationed retrograde. And Ceres moved into Cancer this morning at 12:07 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. So Ceres is the mother, the queen, she's the goddess of fertility, conception, nurturing, creativity. She is known as Demeter in the Greek world, so you may know her story of Demeter and Persephone. And as she moves into Cancer, she's very, very caring and nurturing. She moves away from being more creative around ideas and language and social. Now she's in Cancer, and she's all about nurturing her people. She might become a little bit of a helicopter parent. That's something to pay attention to. But this square, Jupiter's in Aries, which really, again, highlights the self. It highlights us as an individual, Aries. And Mars is going to move into Aries on the 24th of May. So we're going to be feeling that even more strongly. And this square highlights the conflict that we often experience between self and family. So is there a path that you want to forge, Jupiter and Aries, a big path you want to forge, that you feel like you have to sacrifice it somewhat for your family, for your home, for your lineage? Are there parts of yourself that you don't necessarily express? That's a little bit different, if we're suppressing those parts of ourselves, but this feels like doing, this is initiatory energy. Aries and Cancer are both cardinal signs. These are starting signs. The initiatory signs are the first sign of a season. And look into your own world, your own life, and what is starting for you at this time. So this, on the one hand, this is a total lunar eclipse. That's about release, but it's about releasing to make room for what's coming. What's fomenting inside you? What are you really starting? What's happening for you? And then lastly, I think this is going to be last. There are a lot of semisextiles with this full moon. So what's a semisextile? Say that fast 5 times, semisextile. A semisextile is when 2 planets or points are separated by 30 degrees. And a sextile is 60, when 2 planets or points are separated by 60 degrees. So for instance, here you have, Neptune and the sun very close to a sextile. That sextile actually went exact already at 12:15 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time today, May 15th. So that's very encouraging energy, very supportive energy. Not as easy as, say, a trine, which is 120 degrees, but a semisextile is a little bit stressful. It kind of makes us blind. So, for instance, you may want to move forward with something like, whatever it is you feel like you're starting or initiating with that, Jupiter in Cancer and now in the cardinal signs, but you might be struggling to see solutions and outcomes. So for instance, again, so Saturn and Neptune are semisextile, and Neptune and Aries are semisextile, and, Eris and the sun are semisextile. So we have these semisextiles. It's like blinding, but wait. And one of the things we can turn to is that Scorpio energy of ritual and the Taurus energy of grounding, of being really, I would just say, delighted by Mother Earth, delighted by all of her treasures and her bounty. And I feel like, some of these are longer term. So Saturn and Neptune is a little bit longer. The Neptune and Eris, we're going to feel that for a while. Chiron and Uranus have been in this semisextile for what feels like forever. And so there's this, again, this blinding. They can't quite see the other, Uranus can't quite see Chiron. So Uranus is just like doing all this stuff to change the system. He kind of knows what's happening. He's hearing about it through the grapevine. The sun was like, hey, Uranus, guess what happened over in Aries, with Chiron. So there's this energy there that Uranus can't quite see what's happening with Chiron and vice versa. So Uranus might do some crazy ass stuff just because that's what Uranus likes to do, to really shake things up. And Chiron's like, whoa, hold on a second. Wait, what and Uranus goes, oh my gosh, I didn't even see you. Sorry about that. Well, I don't think Uranus would ever apologize, but that's all right. So hopefully I do feel like as we're releasing, while Mercury is retrograde, we'll be able to see more solutions and outcomes with the Gemini new moon cycle, the Gemini lunar cycle, which begins on May 30th after Mercury stations direct. So just a little sneak preview, Mercury is still retrograde. He'll be in Taurus when we have the new moon on May 30th. And we'll when he stations direct, we'll still feel that energy. And of course, then Saturn stationing retrograde. And so there's just kind of this push-pull energy through the remainder of the Taurus lunar cycle until May 30th. And then it'll just, I've been using with clients, I've been using the example of like an old Pinto. You guys, am I dating myself? I never got to drive a Pinto. They had recalled them, a Ford Pinto. They had recalled them by the time I was able to drive. But, very slow, just a get around slowly kind of car. It's not a fast car, but then things will speed up a little bit come the first week of June. So stick with it. Be willing to release. Be willing to take time in ritual. Pull a couple of cards if that's something you like to do. light a candle, sit in prayer, go to a sound healing, anything that helps you get in touch with your inner self, with the divine. Those are all things that are going to help you on this eclipse. It is intense. Scorpio likes it that way, but it's just able to get you cleaning more deeply with Scorpio. Scorpio wants to just scrub it clean so you can start fresh. Ah, loves, it's so good to be with you. Seems like it's been a long time. I'm so happy to share this full moon with you. I was originally only going to do this full moon recording for my mastermind, but I decided to make it available to all of you in the spirit of Scorpio sharing resources. And if you're wondering what I've been up to, why I haven't been making these, it's because I have been putting together this incredible mastermind of conscious awakening women. And if this is something that intrigues you, if you are a conscious awakening woman ready to leverage your time, energy, talents, and money, both personally and professionally, so you can live your best life with ease and flow, let's connect. You can send me an email. There's a contact page on my website, which is www.divinelyjennifer.com. I am so passionate about helping women to tap into their natural rhythms and the energy of the cosmos and natural health so that they can have more ease and flow in their lives. Because honestly, that is our birthright. And it's amazing what happens when we leverage all of that. Life happens, in really beautiful ways because we create the world around us by what we say and how we say it. The divine and the cosmos give us so many tools to up-level every area of our life, including our health and well-being, our work, our relationships, our home, our communities, and of course, our bank accounts. If this is intriguing to you, if you are in the corporate world and wanting to venture out into being an entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur and you want to have more ease and flow in your schedule, in the way you work, to leverage the energy of the divine, let's connect. You can email me at hello@divinelyjennifer.com, or you can head over to the contact page on my website and let's connect. I love you. Have a beautiful, beautiful full moon, and I will see you the next time.